Welcome to another In Wheel Time podcast, a 30-minute mini version of the In Wheel Time car show that airs live every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central. It's the In Wheel Time car talk show. Coming up, Chris Harto at Consumer Reports on emissions laws and how it will affect all of us. Konrad has This Week in Auto History. We'll get you caught up on the stories making car news this week. Howdy. Along with Mike out of This World Mars, King Konrad DeLong. We need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us on this Saturday, and thank you very much for doing such. Chris Harto is with Consumer Reports. Chris, good morning.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us again. We've talked to you before, and this time we're going to talk to you about these EPA new rules. Now, have the new rules actually been enacted yet? Has it been approved by everybody, or is it just proposed?
Yeah, no, this is just a proposal, and these rules would be for model year 2027 through 2032.
Well,
but yeah, we don't expect them to be finalized until sometime the end of the year.
Do you think that there'll be any changes made once it gets the hammer down and everybody says okay?
Yeah, I mean, in these sorts of rulemakings, there's always some changes, some tweaks here and there. So yeah, I'm sure there'll be changes before this is final.
So let's talk about the demand for EVs. Let's start with that, and let's talk about what consumers are really hoping to get. I mean, is production meeting demand?
Yeah, absolutely not. Consumers who want EVs today are often faced with dealing with scarce vehicles, no vehicles on the lot, pre-ordering, dealer markups, wait lists, all sorts of stuff like this. We did some survey analysis and found that there's about 45 Americans who definitely want an EV for every EV being built. So automakers are behind in trying to catch up.
Did any of your analysis include what the buyer is actually looking for in an EV? Do they think that it's going to be free gas? Do they think that there's going to be unlimited mileage? Do they ever look at the fact that there's a limited number of chargers outside of their house?
Yeah, so there's a lot of reasons why Americans are buying EVs. The first one is the saving money on gas, saving money on maintenance, the simpler ownership experience if you can charge at home. But the other factor is they're just fun to drive. Once people get in them, drive, experience driving an EV, they really like it. And so that's also driving a lot of the sales just because they're so fast and fun.
Yeah. You personally, do you have an EV?
That's a great question. I don't yet. I want one. I'm definitely in one of the category of people. The next vehicle they buy will be an EV. I have a perfectly functional gas vehicle right now. I don't drive that much. I don't need a new car. But the next time I buy a new car, it'll absolutely be an EV.
And have you considered the fact that the cost to own an EV as far as fuel versus electricity is actually not really comparable? I mean, we've seen reports that the cost of EVs, once you put in all of the factors, the cost of the vehicle and the fact that it's going to cost you to charge the vehicle really isn't that great of a savings when it all comes to, the end price that you have to pay.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on your exact situation. For people who can charge at home, those savings are quite significant. At around today's fuel costs, the average American will save somewhere around $1,700 a year on fuel and maintenance savings on an electric SUV compared to a gas SUV. So over the years, that'll pay for a lot of extra costs, upfront costs, but also the cost of the EVs are coming down. There's quite a few options on the market now that are quite competitively priced.
Well, I'm sure that you saw that once again, Tesla is lowering the price again to be more competitive. And I think that that speaks volumes on them trying to be competitive with all of the other manufacturers out there. Whereas in the past, in some cases, they were quite money hungry when it came to buying a thing.
Yeah. I mean, Tesla's been kind of production limited. They keep ramping up their production. They sell everything they build. So if they can squeeze out an extra $5,000 or $10,000 in profit from the vehicles, they will. But there's even with all these price cuts, there's still been one of the most profitable automakers in terms of their margins. So they have a lot of room to compete.
Well, let's talk about, if you will, the greenhouse gas emission standards that I guess the government is currently looking at to putting into law that is going to really squeeze gasoline-powered vehicles.
Yeah. So at a high level, these standards are technology neutral standards. So they set a carbon target, and then automakers can use a mix of technologies to meet them, including improving the efficiency of their gasoline vehicles, building hybrids, building plug-in hybrids, and building battery electric EVs. EPA estimates that if automakers only comply using EVs, that around 2/3 of the new vehicles sold in 2032 would be battery electric vehicles. But there's different options for automakers. In reality, that number is probably going to be lower, somewhere like, in the 50s to 60% when you mix in all the different strategies different automakers will use to comply with those standards.
So will Consumer Reports be doing some testing, or have you started to do any testing on the variety of batteries that are going to be or are currently available through the EV market?
I'm not. We don't test the batteries themselves, but every new EV that hits the market, pretty much everyone that's within at least under $100,000 or so, we go out, we buy it from a dealer, and we'll put it through our standard tests, and we are coming up with other tests, new tests for EVs, testing their charging speeds and things like that, how well they operate in the cold, all the different things that are new to EVs that may not apply to gasoline vehicles.
Yeah, to a degree, that's partially what I meant, because everybody has this vision of, I don't have to buy gasoline anymore, so my energy expense goes to zero, which isn't necessarily true. Your energy expense can be quite a lot at the inception, because you have to put in a certain level charging station at your house, or you can just plug it into the 110 for 12 hours a day. So there's still an expense to a per mile. I don't know, how does Consumer Reports test that as an expense per mile?
Or calculate it.
How do you calculate that expense per mile? Gasoline, miles per gallon, electricity,
wattage,
cost per mile.
Well, that's a whole nother subject. As a matter of fact, there has been some talk about the fact that they're trying to change, I guess, the window sticker on the cars and electric vehicles to actually make us understand, because kilowatt hours means nothing to me.
Well, that's kind of why I asked the question, because I would look at Consumer Reports for being the organization who could simplify that theory of what my costs to drive the vehicle are.
Per mile. That's
right.
what I want to know. How long is, what's it? So you understand where we're coming from on that, right?
Yeah. And there's definitely a learning curve for Americans, moving from a gasoline to an electric vehicle. And we're developing a lot of new products, a lot of new tools on our website to really help Americans understand the differences and navigate this transition. It's not an easy transition. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot that's different. We're working really hard to translate all of that to what it really means.
So how are these new EPA rules for gasoline engines going to affect you and me and everybody?
Yeah, well, we see it as kind of in line with where the market's already going. These rules, aren't that far off from where automakers are already telling their shareholders they're going to be in 2030 and beyond. They're making hundreds of billions of dollars of investment in developing new electric vehicles, building new battery manufacturing plants, building new EV manufacturing plants here in the U.S. So it's really kind of supporting the direction that the market is already going, which is rapidly in the direction of vehicles with a plug.
So I will just assume that cars with 1,000 horsepower, those days are numbered.
There's there's been strong rules for a long time. These are their fleet averages, so it just means if you build a 1,000 horsepower gasoline vehicle, you might have to build an extra EV more than you would if so there's ways that automakers can work around that. They can also buy credits from other companies. So if one company wants to build a lot of really powerful sports cars, and that's what they do, they can just buy credits from another auto. There's a lot of EV only manufacturers that are going to be generating credits, so they can just buy credits from other automakers that over comply with these rules.
And some or most manufacturers have announced an EV program. I think Toyota's been a little slow to announce an EV program because they've had such a good hybrid program for so long. But Porsche's got a pretty strong EV program for a sports car company. Tesla is exclusive EV, and General Motors has talked about by 35. I think Mercedes has talked about by 2030 they're going to be all EV. So everybody's got a program out there, and then how does that relate to their corporate average fuel economy? Because these EVs and the hybrids, the CAFE rating on them is so high, it allows them to do some stuff with some gasoline engines in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. So they build. If they build more EVs, they can build more, sports cars and 500-600 horsepower pickup trucks. So there's a lot of flexibility in the rules, and it's not gonna push any, necessarily push a lot of vehicles out of the market.
See, I find it very interesting that your take there on that whenever you say that, because there's so much stuff that we see and read, including in some the press release we got regarding some of these studies about some of these standards being designed to push the market more towards EVs. And so to me, that means those 1,000 horsepower vehicles, that's what they want to get rid of them. There's tire slashers out there and stuff doing silly things, but
yeah,
that's not what I'm
they
hearing
can't
you
build
say.
all 1,000 horsepower cars, and maybe you'll end up with more limited production versions like Dodges with their last call versions of their sports cars, where there's maybe a little bit more limited production of some of those vehicles, but they'll still be able to build at least some of those vehicles. But it does strongly incentivize automakers to build more electric vehicles, and especially to build more in more mainstream segments at more cost-effective price points for consumers, and really get them more broadly in the market versus right now where they're kind of targeting maybe one segment or the luxury space or the premium space. It really encourages them to build a more complete portfolio of plug-in vehicles to give consumers more options. And we believe that as there are more options, as there are vehicles in more price points, consumers really like these vehicles. In our satisfaction surveys, four of the top 10 most satisfying vehicles have a plug, right up there with the Porsche 911, the Corvette, and the Miata, right there in the top 10. And none of them are in the bottom 10 in our satisfaction rating. So,
Wow.
Owners of these vehicles seem to like them.
Well, personally, I like the hybrid because it gives great gas mileage. 40. Like the last one that I had was like 43 miles per gallon.
Yeah, you're in the 40s.
And the flexibility of range.
Yeah, and it was a self-sufficient. I didn't have to plug it in hybrid. It carried a battery pack, and man, I'm telling you, that four-cylinder engine had plenty of power, and coupled with the electric motor, it was really awesome. To me, today, it seems to me that would be the way to go if you really want to satisfy your EV needs and the fuel mileage, along with a brand new vehicle, as opposed to going full in on an EV when you really don't have the infrastructure to go very far outside of Houston, Texas, or where you are. Once you get on the road, like between here and Austin, or here in San Antonio, or here in Dallas, you really sometimes have to plan out where you're going to stop and get a recharge, because I would imagine on the main thoroughfares, not so much of an issue, but you venture off the real heavily traveled
secondary
roadways.
roads. Yeah.
How long's your extension cord?
Yeah, how long is the extension cord? And I'm sure that you guys have done the research on that, and what is holding people back when it comes to buying an EV.
Yeah, I mean, first I'll say we think hybrids are great, and we'd love to see these rules, encourage automakers to build more and more hybrids for those remaining gasoline vehicles. We think hybrids are an awesome choice for most consumers in terms of saving money with a minimal increase in cost. But in terms of that charging infrastructure, that's absolutely, the number one barrier for consumers right now is the confidence in that charging infrastructure. There's a few things coming. The federal government's investing about $7.5 billion, sending that money out to states, specifically for states to figure out the best place to put chargers in their own state, to really help build out that kind of baseline charging infrastructure to ensure consumers can get where they need to go. We're also seeing big companies announcing investments, Walmart, Starbucks, Subway, among some of the names of companies that have committed to put in chargers at many of their locations. So it's coming, but it is slower. And one of the advantages of a rule like this is it kind of sets out a trajectory of where the market is likely to be, so that those companies can have some confidence when they're investing that there's going to be vehicles there to use the chargers that they're building.
Well, Chris, it's great to talk to you, and thank you. We love to talk to you guys at Consumer Reports. Where can we find out free information on this?
Yeah, just go to consumerreports.org. We've got lots of great information about EVs, hybrids, plug-in hybrids, anything you want to know.
And if you want to pay, you can also get information on the vacuum cleaner that you guys recommend.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love it.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Chris Harto, it's great to talk to you. Thanks. We'll talk
Thank
again
you.
soon. He's with Consumer Reports. Always love to talk to those guys. It's always very informative.
Wealth of information.
And
It
your
is.
comment about the hybrid, that's like taking baby steps into the EV. You got to do to try it out. I'm thinking.
Well, I have to tell you that when the hybrids first came to market, of course, the Prius is the first one that comes to mind. And from the very beginning, I liked the Prius as far as the advantages of not having to plug it in. It's there, it gets great gas mileage, and it's reliable. Can't say that about all of the other hybrids early on.
It's ugly.
Yeah, it was ugly. But now hybrids have become much more acceptable. They've become
Much more dependable by all manufacturers, because early on, some of the early hybrids were called hybrids but weren't. GM made a pickup truck they called a hybrid, but what made it a hybrid was you had a 110 power plug in the back. It had no propulsion to it. It didn't move the truck. It just created 110 power in the back, and GM called it a hybrid. Well, it wasn't.
yeah. But at any rate,
It was a fire hazard is what it was, because it was recalled for that.
Thermal event cluster.
do you happen to have in front of you your cruise-in calendar? No, not the events calendar, but the cruise-in calendar.
Yep.
Do you happen to have that?
Yeah, and not a whole lot going on that I have for that. Randy, I was surprised he wasn't at the Mustang Day Wildflower Cruise that left Buc-ee's this morning. I know a couple of people are listening in from that. And then the Lone Star Drift Round 3 at the Houston Police Academy is June 24th.
Okay. And I have to tell you that as far as the events calendar is concerned, and this is an opportunity for me to plug this in,
Sure.
is that beginning Thursday evening, this coming Thursday evening, is the beginning of the Hot Rod Tour of Texas. And I mention that because I'm going to go on that. I leave to go to Victoria on Thursday, and they have a little reception, the soiree down there at...
You mean a place to stop and drink?
Well, there's that next to the hotel, yes. But that's on Thursday evening.
Little
And then we get
finger
on the
sandwiches?
road on Friday, and we do Friday,
To a
Saturday,
brewery.
Sunday. No, we're not going
Or
to Shiner.
distillery?
Distillery, I think it is. But I understand that you guys are going to be following me and badgering me on Saturday.
We're going to try, yes.
Okay. So
So we'll be there Friday.
So
Yeah,
To
it
start
would be
badger.
Friday.
Start the badger. I'm bringing fresh badger, by the way.
We're going to need it, I'm afraid.
yeah. And so it's going to be Mars and Jeffrey
And David.
David.
and David. And David is going to be on.
David.
David Ainsley, our chief
Jeff's going
engineer.
to bring Kathy, and she's going to prepare Himalayan cat because she found a cat Himalayan on the road.
When we catch up, you can smack him.
Yeah, you can smack it. All right. Well, let's do This Week in Auto History, shall we? You have that as well. You just have a whole
Plethora.
a big stack of papers over there.
So in 1906, the Sunset Automobile Company, that was a startup company in San Francisco, was totally destroyed by fire. The production of the Sunset never resumed, and the firm was legally dissolved in 1909.
I had a patio umbrella that looked like the top on that car one
I
time.
think I did.
But you
got
got to think, back in 1906, that was a pretty cool looking car. You know, pretty ornate.
fancy, yeah.
You know, and
a lot of detail.
the Bay Area of California has had different automotive manufacturers through the years. None of them have been considered successful.
Well, Ford had a office there, a plant right
and
there
so
on the
did
bay.
GM and Toyota, the NUMMI plant that built the Chevrolet Nova, which was kind of an abomination of the name Nova, and I think Toyota Corolla. They were both a shared platform. And then Tesla come out of the Bay Area as well, so Tesla being the most successful. But I thought that was a beautiful car for 1906 when, you know, the main competitor that was the Model T, which was kind of a plain Jane looking car.
Yeah.
And then in 1942, Rand McNally released the first comprehensive road atlas. And, you know,
I used to love the road atlases.
and Rand McNally, definitely the name to remember.
I think they still make them.
They still do. This is the cover of the 2021 road atlas.
And they're not cheap.
They're not cheap, and if you kind of look at that, that is looking from the
East to the west.
tunnel of Yosemite Valley, and that's El Capitan on the left and Half Dome on the right. So you know, it's always had those atlases always had some wonderful photography in them, and you know, one big book takes you around the country. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Lots of trivial knowledge in
Yes,
there.
if you
as
don't
well.
have a cell phone yet, this is the way to go.
And then in 1946, Arthur Chevrolet, the brother of the Chevrolet namesake Louis Chevrolet, committed suicide at age 60 in Slidell, Louisiana.
In that truck?
No, but it's a 1946 Chevy Suburban, which would be quite collectible today. And
Yeah.
I've been to Slidell. I can understand why Arthur did what he did.
Didn't we interview someone?
Why was he there is the question.
Slidell, Louisiana.
Didn't we
There's some
interview
hot
someone that
chicks over
had one
there.
of these at Granbury?
Yep. Gorgeous truck. And then
Need to get your
58
glasses checked.
58 years ago this week, in 1964, the Ford Mustang, a two-seat mid-engine sports car, was officially unveiled at the Ford in the World's Fair in New York City in Flushing Meadows.
The same month as the grand opening of the Houston Astrodome.
Oh, was it?
1965.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
And what did Randy call it? The galloping pony?
The galloping pony. The running pony.
running something.
And actually, I was there as a child, and I remember this display.
You were never a child.
Well, I was there as a
He
youngster.
still is a child.
Oh, yeah.
I was there as a youngster at the New York City.
A youngin'?
That'd be cool
New York World
to say
Fair.
that.
Yep.
Yeah. Did you?
And-
By the way, did you go to Woodstock?
No. Woodstock.
69.
I was 11 at Woodstock.
Well, there were a lot of them there.
Yeah. Well, no, I didn't go to Woodstock. But I know where Woodstock was, right off the Northway.
Okay.
Quite a famous spot.
He didn't make it past
And then in
420.
1965, the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel opened, which is really kind of weird. It's this big, long suspension bridge that comes to the middle of the bay and then dives into a tunnel.
Yep.
And then the ships will pass over the tunnel.
Is there a Kennedy driving that ship?
No, that wasn't. That was Chappaquiddick.
Oh, close enough.
It's a sea bay.
Yeah.
But kind of an unusual build is the fact that, here you are on this 17.5-mile long bridge, and then all of a sudden in the middle, it dives into a tunnel. I guess if there's a hurricane coming and the tide rises, they're going to have to close that down because the tunnel's going to fill up.
Put a plug in it.
And then in 1995, after producing about 6,939 cars, Lotus tuned Chevrolet Corvette Z01 production ended. Great car, C4 Corvette. It had a 32-valve quad-cam V8 in it that was designed by Lotus, built by Mercury Marine.
Yes, I remember
in
that.
Stillwater, Oklahoma.
Because they had the wherewithal, the way to build that complicated engine there, and nobody else did.
And to do all of the machine work on the aluminum that really wasn't industry standard at the time. So, and I went to the Stillwater plant where they built that once. It wasn't working for GM. It wasn't there on a GM capacity, but was there with a friend of mine. So pretty cool. So yeah, and the ZR1 came back in 2009, again as a supercharged car. So that was it.
Okay, cool. Thank you, sir. I did want to give a couple of headlines, but we've run out of time in this segment.
Oh, I'm blamed again.
Nope, not this time. No. That all
Mike,
worked out.
what'd you do?
It's Mike. So we're going to postpone the headlines till the next segment.
Next week.
But I got the cruise-in calendar in. Time now for a quick break. But we'll be right back. You're on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show on iHeartRadio.
Are you a car enthusiast? Come experience the 27th Annual Keels and Wheels Classic Car and Boat Show. Join us Saturday, May 6th and Sunday, May 7th at the Lakewood Yacht Club in Seabrook. This fun family event features vintage and contemporary race cars from Le Mans, Indy, Formula One, NASCAR, and much more. See classic and vintage boats of all types, not to mention American and European pre- and post-war classics. Pre-sale tickets are $30. Students are just $15. Children 12 and under are free. Purchase your tickets today at keelsandwheels.com.
Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise-in around and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise-in date right here on In Wheel Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6 or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Lupi's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Lupi Tortilla. Lupi Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. That's it for this podcast episode of the In Wheel Time Car Show. I'm Don Armstrong, inviting you to join us for our live show every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and our InWheelTime.com website. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeart Podcast, Podcast Addict, TuneIn, Pandora, and Amazon Music. Keep listening, and we'll see you soon.